The ERL Formula E Series ends its Season 21 in London with Marcus Nelson on pole from Falstad and UK-Ball. Then its championship rivals Sebastian Ocampo alongside from Revo and Remy LeBeau. Pablo Sierra starts 7th from Tommy and Elliot Deli making his first start. Then it's Dav Sanchez, Mohamed Awawi, Catfish in 12th from Jack Cluck and Babinus Jr. The Red Devil starts 15th from Zach Wallace and Pierre Gasly. Then it's Tenali Gabo in 18th, Ica World in 19th, Ben Allen Lee in 20th, and Ott Q starts 21st, and Zaylane at the back of the grid. 3 drivers in the hunt for the World Drivers' Championship. 2 of them start alongside each other. It's UK-Ball's day as all 5 lights go on. And the final round in Season 21 is underway, and that's a very good start from Falstad and Marcus Nelson, covering off Falstad as he needs to do. UK-Ball now coming alongside Marcus Nelson as they come into turn number 3 with the inside line. Does the British driver have, trying to take his 3rd consecutive crown jewel victory. His teammate getting a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision, but out in front, Marcus Nelson still leads from Falstad and teammate Revo. UK-Ball dropping down to 5th position. He needs to stay ahead of Ocampo, lest the Philippine man take his 3rd World Drivers' Championship. But as for Revo himself, who is still in the title fight, he must win, and he's currently in 3rd, which you might not notice is not 1st position. He needs to make some moves, and with Ocampo right beside him, that's not going to be too easy to do. Look at that, Ocampo up into 3rd position, currently taking the World Drivers' Championship, with the gap between Ocampo and UK-Ball being about 4 points. If it does come down to count back, UK-Ball should become World Drivers' Champion. Hopefully it does not go to count back, because if it does, that is going to be absolutely painful to calculate in my head. Marcus Nelson getting a track limits warning. UK-Ball defending from his first teammate. These two have tangled here before, if you remember Season 2. And the absolute melee that happened on the opening lap. As we are still looking with Revo in that number 7 car, looking for a way to get past UK-Ball side by side with his aforementioned first teammate. Attack mode is online now, and I do believe it's going to be, everyone behind Nelson is gonna get attack mode. You can see those rear wings flying open, but Remy LeBeau making the most of it of anyone. He's up into 4th, and crucially, being a bit of a stopgap for Ocampo. As it would stand, Sebastian Ocampo would take his 3rd World Drivers' Championship, and I don't think he's won a race this season. Imagine that, taking a World Drivers' Championship without winning. We almost saw that last season with Revo, when he took 2 race wins on his way to the Cup, which currently is the record for least wins in a championship-winning season. Fastest 2nd sector going to Sebastian Ocampo. We go on board with the number 76 DS Andretti driver. You can see 76% tyre wear for the man aiming to become champion again, and into the wall goes Remy LeBeau. Track's been cleared, but Remy has hit the barriers in London and is dropped to the back of the pack. Marcus Nelson onto lap 3 of 13, 3 tenths ahead of Oscar Falstad, who has the fastest lap as we go on board with McLaren driver. And Falstad knows what it's like to win around here. In fact, he had to do just that back in Season 18 to take his 1st World Drivers' Championship in vindication for what happened in the season prior. Look at the midfield. This is the kind of stuff that you only really get in an F1 open lobby. As just taking a look at Elliot Deli, the American who looked good in the FG series, he's made the step up to the ERL and is the sole driver in the ERL, and is the sole American driver in the ERL currently, replacing Daniel Botasarov, who had a wrist injury after his crash in San Marino. He was given the AOK to drive if he wished, because there shouldn't have been too much damage done, but Botasarov opted against it, so Deli is now in that seat. Onto lap 4 of 13, and Nelson got a 3rd track limits warning. Ocampo set a fastest lap, and I think it was a sub 1 minute time. Gasly gets a second track limits warning. Once it comes down to how worn your tyres are, it's not going to be too good. As there goes Gasly up into third position. UK Ball is currently up in fourth. And that gap forming between UK Ball and Ocampo, that was formed by Remy LeBeau's spin, I believe. Remy has made his way to the back of the pack, just about. Still does have damage to that car. I don't know if he's actually able to use attack mode. If he's not, then that's going to hinder him quite a bit. Here comes Volstad on his fellow Scandinavian driver. Two different Vikings. But both of them fight just as hard as each other. And Volstad's been given a time penalty for track limits. He's alongside Ocampo now. Another track limits warning for Nelson would put him in the same predicament as Volstad. It's a third track limits warning further back for Tonelli Gabo, as they now head into the Vale chicane on board with Volstad, looking for a way to get past. Doesn't quite manage to do it, but the top three still ever so close together. It is Nelson, and it's UK Ball! UK Ball's been sent spinning! Nelson into the pits, making the most of this opportunity! And UK Ball, championship leader, has lost part of his front wing! He's going to pit at the end of this lap. He was going to pit at the end of this lap either way, but he's lost time to Ocampo crucially. This is not going to be the easiest championship for UK Ball to win. And the man behind him, Revo, while he is in the title hunt, I do not believe that the Italian is going to try and take home the championship. What they've reportedly been doing down at DS Automobiles in terms of the powertrain division reportedly is absolutely brilliant, and we've got darkening clouds over the UK. Nelson's pit stop might have just taken him out of race winning contention, but that will come down to whether or not there is rain, and considering how dark the skies are, I wouldn't bet against it. I would not bet against it. There it is! Rain falling in London! Some people would call it the average Tuesday, but unfortunately for these drivers, that's what's truly happening. In comes Volstad and Ocampo. Volstad's going to have to serve a 5-second time penalty, and Ocampo will be leading in London. It's going to be a crown jewel that will be led by Ocampo. We are approaching half race distance. Time penalties will be, of course, carried out. Oh no, the DS guys have been held up. A second stop for Nelson. Detrimental to his race. Ocampo's already out there on track. Volstad is second, with UK Ball currently in third. And this is UK Ball's title hopes currently going up in a plume of smoke. Or rather in a cloud of it. Because that is what we have all over the track. We don't expect it to clear before the end of this race. It could clear before the end of this race, however, with 7 laps to go. But it is Sebastian Ocampo who heads the field from Oscar Volstad and UK Ball. On board with Ocampo as he comes through Maggots and Beckett's. And for him, it's been quite the season. To take a win at a crown jewel event, and to have that be where you take the title as well, would be absolutely magnificent. And for Ocampo, it would be just perfect. I'm pretty sure both of his titles. Oh my goodness! Ocampo's out! Sebastian Ocampo, for the second weekend in a row, is out of an Prix. This is going to come down to UK Ball versus Revo. Virtual safety car ends, and your first retirement in London is the champion-elect in Sebastian Ocampo. He looked as if he had all the cards in the right hand, and they just seemingly swapped them. But Remy LeBeau's in the wall. Is that Leclerc facing issue? No, but Remy once again in the barriers. Track's been cleared. Elliot Deli came to the scene first, while there were yellow flags on board with Zach Wallace. And he's in the wall as well! gets back on track quite quickly, but has lost his front wing. So it's Volstad who leads with UK Ball in second. For Revo to try and take the championship now, because he's the man trying to fight him, as Tommy gets a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. For Revo to be champion today, as Anok Q also getting a penalty. Well, it doesn't seem very likely, as we're on board with Oscar Volstad leading in London as he heads into the Vale chicane in the wet conditions, and he's hit the wall as well. Yellow's in the Vale chicane, track's been cleared, and we're on board with UK Ball as he comes through and runs over it, just about cleared. These wet conditions absolutely messing with some drivers, surely. That front wing end plate is still there. Babineau Jr. getting a 5-second time penalty for track limits. Zaylane getting one. Tenali Gabba getting one. Is Chuck Clerk going to get one as well? Well, no, he won't, but Nelson will. My goodness, the track limits are unbelievably strict as Tommy hits the wall, running over Volstad's busted front wing. And does he have broken steering? He might, as he's trying to get himself out of there. Steering lock might not be working. He's going to have to keep trying at it. And I don't think he's been able to make it work. Wallace is pitted, and Tommy is out. Another full course yellow here in London. The man from the north of England, favourite to win the championship at his home race, no less. For Revo, he came into this race 22 points down. If he's to become champion, UK Ball must score less than 3 points, with Revo taking the victory. If Revo does not win here today, UK Ball is champion no matter what happens to the Italian. Revo getting a third track limits warning in sixth, however, as Volstad has come into the pits. 5-second time penalties being given out to literally everyone, it seems. Even the race leader, UK Ball, is not exempt. And we've got a full course yellow to Clerk and Nelson! Marlis Clerk at what he calls his second home race. The British Monegasque driver out in London. Many drivers now coming into the pits. And is it for dry tyres? It is! 4 laps to go here in London, and dry tyres going on to these drivers' cars. I seriously cannot believe it. Not in the slightest. But on board with Ica World coming out of the pits, as the guys up front all on the wrong compound of tyres. There's still a little bit of spray being kicked up. Wallace coming in for his 4th stop. For the Red Devil right now, it almost looks as if he's going to get a slam dunk P1. As UK Ball coming through the turn, everyone coming through this chicane with a very, very early turn in to just avoid the wall. As in comes everyone. 5-second time penalties going to the top 3, so getting raised up on their jacks. The Red Devil's going to be the one with the fastest stop, but will that see him in the lead as he comes out of the pits? He's going to be second. The Red Devil moves up into second position. Revo has moved up into third. If UK Ball fails to finish and Revo can get past the Red Devil, he's champion. As Elliot Deli gets his first ever time penalty in his career. That's a 5-second time penalty. And for the American, not quite what he would have wanted. But the fact that he's still in this race is quite a sight of its own. Nawawi getting a 3rd track limits warning. One more of those. And it's a penalty and... no! Catfish! The man who's taken home Sims Porsche's 2 sole race wins as Zach Wallace gets a 5-second time penalty for track limits. Catfish with a rear puncture. Revo getting a 5-second for time for track limits as we're on board with U-Cable, who's coming up to the back of Catfish as he comes into Stowe Corner, just about misses him. Same with Revo and the Red Devil getting past him in due course. But Revo, who's now up into second with a 5-second time penalty and a few more laps to go, has to now break a 5-second gap between him and the Red Devil. Fastest third sector goes to U-Cable, who is on track for his second World Drivers' Championship as Ben Allen Lee gets a track limits warning. Ica World getting a track limits warning. And for U-Cable, if he does take home the championship today, it would be quite fitting considering that he is the man who has won so many races. It's Nawawi getting a track limits warning of his own. Gabbo getting past Babinis Jr. And not Q getting a 5-second time penalty down in 17th. So many drivers being penalised. As Remy LeBeau setting a fastest sector of anyone. Looking with Babinis Jr. going alongside Tenali Gabbo. It's not really that much of a fight for the leader. Zach Wallace sets a fastest lap of 1:18.766. Side by side go Babinis Jr. and Gabbo, who gets a track limits warning. It's his third. He gets another one, and that is a 5-second time penalty. Slam dunk. Very good manga and anime in their own rights. The Red Devil getting a 5-second time penalty of his own for track limits. Pablo Sierra getting his second warning as we're looking with Gabbo. Babinis Jr. getting a third warning as we're on to lap 12 with 13. Remy LeBeau getting a track limits warning of his own. Penalties might be the deciding factor today as Marcus Nelson getting a second warning on board with Catfish. And the Malaysian driver, virtual safety car, Mohamed Awawi out of this race. Was going to mention Catfish's season and this race not reflecting it, but Nawawi now out. We are under full course yellow conditions on the penultimate lap here in London. It's been a hectic race, this London Prix, but the virtual safety car is now ending. And we get back underway. U-Cable coming through the last part of Maggots and Beckett's. As he now heads down into Stowe Corner. Doesn't have attack mode, doesn't need attack mode. The Red Devil has it though. Rounding Stowe Corner himself. Lot of speed and momentum being carried through there on board with the 89, and he's in the wall! I don't believe it! Onto the final lap we go! Track's been cleared. U-Cable leads. If we're talking about intervals, of course, we're on to the final lap. Off went, I believe, Tenali Gabbo. There goes Remy LeBeau spinning one more time. As there goes Nelson past Zay Lane. Full course yellow, Catfish out of this race. And with the race leaders heading down the Wellington Straight, there is not much more that can be said. Revo currently leading today. U-Cable, however, not out of this race. And considering that he is within 5 seconds of the two drivers in front of him, this is going to be how the season ends. Virtual safety car ends now, and we are back underway in London. You can see rings on those soft tyres. Zach Wallace getting a second track limits warning. 2 more of those, and it's going to be another time penalty going the way of the Italian as he heads down into Stowe Corner. It's the race lead. It's not the championship lead. And he won't even get to keep it after the race ends as he heads down into the Vale chicane. Here we are with Revo, and he's in the wall as well! The Red Devil goes by! U-Cable goes by! The Red Devil is going to win on the road, but it's going to be a third consecutive Crown Jewel victory and the championship for U-Cable, who wins the London Prix from, I can't even tell who. That was Babinus Jr. we saw on the wall as Gasly got a 5-second time penalty for track limits. Was not that close to the finish at the end of the day. But my oh my, what a season that we've had in season 21 as Zach Wallace now sending a faster second sector of anyone. And RQ coming through the chicane and into the wall. Got a bit of air as well. And will run through it himself. And a full course yellow as that is Zach Wallace out in London. But this is the podium. UK ball from Pablo Sierra and Dav Sanchez, the top three after this hectic race held in London's big part of the city. I can't even speak anymore. Then it's the Red Devil Revo and Oscar Forstad with Denali Gabo finishing in 7th from Ben Allen Lee and Marcus Nelson. Pierre Gasly came home in 10th with Zaylon in 11th. Then it's Remy LeBeau, Babinus Jr., Elliot Deli on debut, Ica World, and not you, who's being the final one of your finishers, with the non-finishers being Zach Wallace, Mohamed Awawi, Catfish, Clerk, Tommy, and Ocampo. In the drivers' standings, UK Ball is the season 21 champion from Sebastian Ocampo and Revo. Then it's Volstad, Pablo Sierra, Catfish, Remy LeBeau, Marcus Nelson, Clerk, and Sanchez. Then it's the Red Devil, Pierre Gasly, Zach Wallace, Denali Gabo, Ica World, Babinus Jr. It says Elliot Deli here, but the man who scored these points was Gal Bob Basarov. Then it's Mohamed Awawi, Zaylane, Tommy, Ben Allen Lee, and Inoki failed to score all season. In the constructors' standings, Power Renault are the champions from Diaz Chichita and Andretti Bennett. McLaren, Kiro, Sims, Renault, Trackhouse, Venturi, Mercedes, and Nissan. It's been quite the season, and we hope that you join us next time when the ERL Formula E Series returns.